With that, let's bring in Virginia congressional candidate and retired Navy Captain Hung Cao. Hung, good morning to you. Let's pick it up where Kevin Corke just left off. Talk about China's possible response to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. China's ambassador to the U.S. said China's response will be firm, strong, and forceful. What does he mean by that, and what can we expect in the coming days?
Hey, good morning. This is a lot of saber rattling, but no one should ever be able to threaten a U.S. Elected official, right? I mean, this should be an issue that unites both sides, and this is what happens when we have feckless and weak leadership in Washington, D.C.
I think what's interesting about this trip, you mentioned feckless leadership. I think this highlights a disconnect just within the Democratic Party. I mean, they were not united on this. You had Nancy Pelosi doing one thing, the Biden administration doing another. How much do you think, Hung, Biden's family ties with China played a role in that?
Yes, so that does come in question. I mean, where does the ties end? But our loyalty should be to the United States and to the people of the United States, and no one should be able to dictate our foreign policy. Definitely not a transnational criminal organization like the CCP.
Well, Chinese state media also published this map we're going to show, showing the locations of several military exercises it says are set to take place around Taiwan. So like you said, saber rattling certainly going on. But, if China does take the next step and actually invades Taiwan, what do you think U.S. involvement will look like? It may depend on the president at the time, but what can we expect to have happen here in the United States?
Well, definitely, it's going to affect our economy. I mean, because our economies are so tied together. But honestly, I mean, there's nothing like the American military and the American spirit. Having been in uniform for 30 years, I know that our people will be ready to go. We've got the 7th Fleet out there ready to roll, and the 3rd Fleet will then launch all their ships to support the 7th Fleet. But, it's going to be a very measured response.
You're obviously running as a congressional candidate. Are you thinking the voters are actually paying attention to this? Are they looking at our weakened stance in the world and saying that's going to impact their vote, presumably against Democrats come November?
Absolutely. I mean, the 3 things I run on is definitely the economy, because, all Americans are suffering every day when they go to the gas pump or to the grocery store. And that's also directly, impacted by our stance around the world. I mean, we need to have a strong military. I mean, there's fight, flight, posture, or submit. And the Biden administration has been shelling their belly every single turn here. And then obviously education is very important in our district also.
Hung, it's great to have you on a day like today with your naval background, because last year there was this big revelation that China had more naval ships than the United States. Does that concern you? If it does possibly turn into some sort of hot war, how would our 2 militaries stack up against each other?
Again, it goes back to the American spirit. Look in World War II. Every ship that was sunk in Pearl Harbor were raised back up by U.S. Navy divers and refitted for war to sent back out to chase the same Japanese fleet that sank them. After 9/11, all the rebels were formed into the USS New York to show the American might. And that's what the difference is the American grit and the American might.
All right, Hung Cao, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your insight on this topic.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.